campaign season, it's easy for people to tell you what they're against. I want to tell you what I'm for, because I want you to help me. Help me in the primary here in Wisconsin next week. Help me when I become the Democratic nominee, and help me keep the Republicans out of the White House.
There are words that are manna from heaven to Republicans everywhere. A report indicating Hillary Clinton may have her hither come to Jesus meeting with the head of the FBI any day now. Granted, just a report, and one that is being knocked down by plenty of people, but it would seem we have reached a nexus, with many on both sides believing if something doesn't happen this time, it may be best to surrender and move on. Grist for the mill. Let's dive into the Friday Eve version of the political animal, where claws are bared, civil discourse is sown, and all bets are off. Left-leaning, the veteran strategist and executive director of the Travis County, Texas Democratic Party, J.D. Gins. Right-leaning, the veteran strategist and no-holds-barred commentator, Ford O'Connell, joins us. Gentlemen, let's get to work. Ford, I'm going to start with you. The quote in Fox News comes from a source that talks about this case, Hillary Clinton potentially having to meet with the FBI, first broke by Al Jazeera. It says, in a case like this, you get one shot at the Queen. Because in this case, if you don't get it right, it's got to be airtight and perfect. Is this, Ford, the last shot to nail Hillary Clinton?
I think it is, and I don't think that she's actually going to be indicted. If Hillary Clinton is going to receive justice for basically skating public information laws for the last 30 years, it's going to come in the form of public opinion at the ballot box in November. I think she walks.
Then why, in your opinion, didn't they get her? Because there are people out there saying the evidence was overwhelming.
It has nothing to do with the evidence. It has to do with whether or not the DOJ wants to bring charges, and they don't want to bring charges against the person that's going to carry on Barack Obama's legacy on the United States Supreme Court. It's really that simple.
J.D. is already shaking his head. And J.D., I have to admit, what Ford says is what a lot of people are saying, actually, is that the charges won't be brought simply because this is not about the evidence. This is about the political nature of the game. Your take?
I don't think it is about the political nature of the game. I think that this is a weak attack that the Republicans have been hitting on for a long time. She was the Secretary of State. She has admitted that using her own server was a mistake. But when she was emailing, it wasn't classified at the time. And now afterwards, some things have been made classified. But the Republicans have said...
JD, I'm sorry. Time out. Back up totally. No, here's the deal. She has been skirting public information laws the entire time at the Secretary of State. It was not okay for her to use a server. Forget the classified information, okay? It's not okay. She didn't do it out of convenience. She did it because she had something to hide.
Other Secretary of State made the same mistake. Other Secretary of States have made the same mistake. Other people have come out and said this is no big deal. This is the Republicans' best hope of actually hitting something.
No, other Secretaries of State did not operate their own server. That's not true.
Hang on one second. And J.D., I'm going to take something off what Ford was just talking about here and what I know he's complaining about here. When you say other Secretaries of State, there's not any evidence that other Secretaries of State had this sort of volume of information that was sitting there.
That's not a big deal. We've already heard about it. There's already been Colin Powell, who was the Secretary of State under George Bush not that long ago, also had a similar situation, and it wasn't a big deal. Now, Hillary Clinton has admitted it's a mistake. And Ford is right. Maybe the voters really care that much. But I actually don't think they care that much. I think most people are kind of aware that a very powerful Secretary of State probably was using her phone, but it's not a big deal. And if they want to judge her decisions as Secretary of State, that's much more fair game. But this is trying to beat Hillary Clinton on a technicality, and they're not going to get it. So it's time to move on.
Your point is well taken.
Hillary Clinton welcomes this conversation and wants it to be done before the convention. So I think the Republicans overplayed their hands a little bit. They should have been sitting on this until, October, but instead they beat the drum now, and now we're going to get it resolved before the convention.
Ford, I got to be honest, his point is well taken in some areas here. So look, let's just say this, Ford, from the Republican side. I know you're going to chafe at that. But is it not fair to say that at this point, if indeed they don't nail her this time, they don't get her, it's time to give this up, walk away, and if you're on the Republican side of things, focus on her record, focus on things like Benghazi, focus on things like what you did as Secretary of State, and go after her on that and defeat her, because she is defeatable on that, is she not?
No, absolutely not, because the biggest weakness that Hillary Clinton has right now is her untrustworthiness, which is at 64%. And you have to understand that her dodging public information records is not just something she did as her time as Secretary of State. She did it as First Lady of Arkansas. She did it when she was at the Rose Law Firm. There is a modus operandi of Hillary Clinton dodging basically information laws for her own political convenience. And that comes down to something that the public has the right to know if she wants to seek the highest office in the land. This goes to character. Character is just as important as record.
JD, I got to tell you something. I got a minute left here in this segment. We'll come back and do more. But again, everybody's bringing up good points here because Hillary Clinton is not seen as being trustworthy by the American voters. Let's be real honest here. The majority of people think she lies. So doesn't she have to now deal with this as well?
I don't think this is a big deal. I think the American people are very bored of this, and they want to hear what the Republicans have to say about their foreign policy. Are we really invading the Middle East again? We have much bigger issues to talk about as a country. But if this is what the Republicans think that they got to go, and they're going to keep beating the same drum off the same research book or the same poll that made them think this is a winning issue, they'll just keep doing that. But I think that it's going to be good for Hillary Clinton to have come out. She's already said she's willing to talk to the FBI. She's not trying to hide from it. I think this is going to turn into a kind of a Benghazi-type hearing again.
Devil's advocate, 30 seconds to you for it. Is it not time for the Republican Party to get their act together, pull in, stop all of the garbage and the trash and the extra additional stuff that's happening on their side and focus on winning this election?
Well, absolutely. They need to unify the party and win this election, because if we don't, based on the electoral math, Hillary Clinton's going to walk right back in the White House.
And if you look at the electoral math right now, it says that Hillary Clinton would beat Donald Trump handily. So whether it's Trump or anybody else, Ford, you got to agree. Start working on your own house. Beat the opponent.
I agree you got to work on your own house, but remember, a part of winning is defining the other candidate before they can define themselves. That's political communications 101.
All right. Well, we're going to go to 102 next. Halftime political animal, hot dogs, adult beverages will be served. Please, guys, no ketchup on the hot dogs. It's not allowed here because it's only mustard on hot dogs. Part 2 of the battle, a break. Picking up with the guy who won't go away on the left and either has no chance or is the eventual nominee. No one can decide. We'll help on the Hardline.